Pax et bonum, peace, and every good thing to you. This greeting of St. Francis of Assisi is his greeting to all whom he came in contact. And it has been the greeting of this church for the last 50 years. We are celebrating our 50th anniversary of bringing God's peace to this community and of sharing the good things that God has in the gifts of each of us. We now know that the peace of Christ is yours, and the good things of Christ are also for you to share. Dedicated pastors, committed associates, a caring staff, wonderful people are the heart of this community, and they draw their strength and their love in this community from the Blessed Sacrament, reserved here and celebrated here. We thank all of you who have been part of this community. The viewing of this disc will help you to understand where we have come from, why we are what we are today, and what we hope to be in the future. And the greatest and best of news is we've only just begun. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this video of our past, our present, and hopefully our future. Thank you.
Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Parish had its origin with a letter from Archbishop Joseph P. Hurley, Archbishop of St. Augustine, Florida, to Father Joseph F. Daly, pastor of St. Joseph's Parish in Bradenton, Florida. The letter was dated December 20th, 1957. This asked Father Daly to research the likelihood to establish a proper place to offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass at some location in northern Sarasota County or southern Manatee County. A census of Catholics in this area revealed 138 families consisting of 262 adults and 102 children. Father Daly, accompanied by Monsignor Charles Elslander, pastor of St. Martha's Parish, Sarasota, and Monsignor Mullins, Father Harold Jordan, and Father Patrick Trainer, all from St. Augustine Diocese, canvassed the area, but determined that a building adequate for the offering of the Holy Mass could not be found. Subsequently, John P. Burns, Chancellor of St. Augustine Diocese, advised Father Daly by a letter dated August 23, 1958, that Bishop Hurley had deferred any decision on establishing a mission in North Sarasota County. Then, by letter dated September 28, 1959, the Chancellor of St. Augustine Diocese, Harold F. Jordan, assigned Father Leonard Duncan the responsibility to establish a Whitfield area Catholic mission on the 13 acres of diocesan property located at Pennsylvania Avenue and Magellan Drive, which at that time contained an old unoccupied farmhouse. At this time, Father Duncan resided with Father Daly in the St. Joseph's Rectory. By letter dated October 2, 1959, Father Duncan asked the Diocese of St. Augustine for a $4,000 startup fund for the Whitfield area Catholic mission. He then made arrangements to offer the holy sacrifice of the Mass in a facility of the Holiday Yacht Club on North Tamiami Trail. The first Mass was held at 12 noon, October the 11th, 1959, with 238 persons attending. On October 15th, 1959, Father Duncan requested diocesan permission to offer Mass in the Trailer Estates Auditorium, which seated about 1,200 people. The first Mass held in the Trailer Estates Auditorium was at 12 noon, November 1, 1959. Parish masses continued to be held in the Trailer Estates Auditorium until the provisional church building was completed in April 1961. While formation plans were developing, many of the new parishioners, especially Mr. and Mrs. Ed Semensky, Rudy Shostak, Mr. and Mrs. Al Oakley, Richard and Marion Rodemaker, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Vorva, Mrs. Holland Mork, Mr. and Mrs. John Ancelomi, and Mr. and Mrs. Ed Eggers formed a cleaning and painting brigade to make the old farmhouse habitable for the new pastor, Father Duncan. On October 16, 1958, Archbishop Hurley, by virtue of an indult, authorized Father Duncan to offer 3 masses on Sundays and holy days in the Whitfield area. Archbishop Hurley asked Father Duncan to submit 4 possible names for the new mission parish. Father Duncan offered these 4 possibilities: St. Mary's, Sacred Heart of Jesus, St. Michaelmas of Toledo, or St. Francis of Assisi. Archbishop Hurley, by letter dated October 23, 1959, assigned the name of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs as the official name for the new parish. Father Duncan immediately began developing plans to construct facilities and buildings for this new parish. Fundraising activities were extended to parishioners and area businesses to help in the development of this new parish. After sufficient funds and pledges were made, Archbishop Hurley signed a contract on November 9, 1960, in the amount of $55,057 to construct the new provisional church of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs. On November 20th, 1960, groundbreaking ceremonies for the construction of the new provisional church was conducted by Monsignor Charles L. Alslander. Father Duncan vigorously supervised the construction and furnishing of this new church, and on April 2nd, 1961, Easter Sunday, the first Mass of this growing parish was celebrated in the new church. Father Duncan served as pastor of this new parish until June 1961, when he was reassigned for a period of time. Only parish administrators were then appointed. Father John Scannell was the parish administrator from June to July 1961. He was followed by Father Keith Simons during the months of August and September 1961. Father James S. Honan was then appointed the second pastor of the parish in October 1961 and served until March 1962, when he was reassigned by Bishop Hurley. Father Joseph P. Moran was serving as president of Cardamooney High School, and in March of 1962 was named as the third pastor of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs. Father Moran continued as president of Cardamooney while serving as pastor of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs. His interest in education prompted his desire to build an elementary school in the parish, and fundraising activities were followed by groundbreaking ceremonies for this new building. After pleading with countless convents for teaching nuns to staff this new school, Father Moran contracted with the Sisters of St. Francis of the Holy Name of Providence of Chicago, whose superior happened to be a sister living in Queen of Martyrs Parish and a parishioner. Her name was Mary Heitreck. These nuns arrived August 12, 1964. Because the construction of the school building was not yet complete by September, the first classes were held in the church for the 4 starting grades until November 1964, when the school building was able to accommodate this new enrollment. Father Moran also redecorated the interior of the provisional church and enlarged the rectory to provide an office space for the growing parish. He served the parish until his transfer in June 1966. Father Thaddeus McHugh was appointed fourth pastor of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs in July 1966. It was at this time that a major realignment of all Florida dioceses was made, and Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Parish became part of the newly formed Diocese of St. Petersburg, Florida, on June 17, 1968. After valiant efforts by Father McHugh to sustain this elementary Catholic school, Father McHugh was forced to close the school because of insufficient enrollment. In July 1969, Father Martin Flynn was then appointed fifth pastor of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs. Father Flynn, a native of Ireland, was transferred from his teaching duties in St. Augustine, Florida. His first accomplishment was enlargement of the provisional church to a capacity of 460 in 1971. His major focus was to construct a permanent church building, but a more pressing need was for a more appropriate rectory. The now 86-year-old farmhouse building, which had served as rectory, had become known as the Skunk House, since a family of skunks had taken residence under that building. It was in 1975 that a contract of $243,219 was signed for the new rectory, which would house apartments for the clergy, but also office space for expanding parish activities, which by this time had reached more than 1,000 families. By 1983, Father Flynn was able to realize his dream to construct the permanent church for the parish, and in March 8, 1983, the groundbreaking ceremony was held to begin this important project. The first Mass in this new church was celebrated May 28, 1984, but the formal dedication of the church was delayed until October 14, 1984, the 25th anniversary of the parish. Bishop W. Thomas Larkin, second Bishop of St. Petersburg, Florida, presided at this dedication ceremony. While more than half the cost of the new church had been raised before construction, retirement of the remainder debt of $700,000 was the next effort which Father Flynn undertook vigorously. Growing numbers of Catholics in the area had now brought the number of families to more than 2,500. This expansion prompted construction of additional parking spaces. Sunday Mass attendance totaled more than 5,000 at the 5 weekend Masses during the winter season. Again, a realignment of all Florida dioceses was made, and October 25, 1984, Bishop John J. Nevins was consecrated Bishop of the Diocese of Venice, Florida, of which Our Lady Queen of Martyrs became a part. Active youth programs, together with adult parish needs, gave impetus to renovate the parishional church building into a parish hall. That has since been named Father Flynn Hall. This renovation was completed in 1985 at a cost of $85,000. Full kitchen facilities and walk-in food cooler freezer were proud additions to the parish facilities which Father Flynn accomplished. His vigorous leadership of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Parish brought significant community recognition of the religious and social contributions to the area. Unfortunately, an aggressive throat cancer invaded Father Flynn, and he died of this affliction on November 23, 1991. His passing was grieved by all his loyal parishioners. Because of Father Flynn's debilitating illness, Bishop Nevins, Bishop of Venice's diocese, appointed Father Thomas Zeder as parish administrator in September 1991. Father Zeder served until May 1992, when the sixth pastor of the parish, Father Neil J. Fleming was appointed. Father Neil oversaw the planning and construction of a new administrative center for the parish that was completed in 1993. In 1994, a Franciscan friar was formally assigned to the parish, and in late 1996, Bishop Nevins offered the parish to the Franciscan friars, and he chose Father Joseph F. Conley, TOR, as the 7th pastor of the parish. Father Joe began as pastor on December 7th, 1996. Father Joe came from an educational background as teacher and principal of a boys' high school and pastoral experience in New Jersey and in Bradenton, Florida. Father Joe shares his warmth and Franciscan joy with all who come to us in our parish. Father Conley continues as pastor of the parish as we celebrate the Golden Jubilee of Our Lady, Queen of Martyrs. The first parochial vicar of Our Lady, Queen of Martyrs was Father John Morrissey, appointed in 1962 to assist Father Moran. Father Morrissey was a native of Ireland and was known for his bombastic sermons and his love of Gaelic. Father Morrissey served until 1969 when he returned to Ireland. In December 1969, Father William Sears, an ex-Marine chaplain, began residence in the parish as he recovered from severe combat wounds from the Vietnam War. His clerical duties increased in the parish, and he was assigned as priest in residence at Cardinal Mooney High School. As he assumed full duties as parochial vicar, he became beloved by parishioners for his humor and earthy homilies. Father Sears retired from parochial vicar duties in November 1991, but continued to keep social ties to the parish and many parishioners until his death on January 8, 2005. Father Carl Borelli was appointed as parochial vicar in January 1992. He had retired from the Diocese of Cincinnati and has continued to serve the Diocese of Venice after leaving Our Lady Queen of Martyrs in December 1996. Father George A. Brennan was assigned as parochial vicar of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Parish in December 1992 and served until 1993 when he was assigned by Bishop Nevins to St. Patrick's Parish, Sarasota, where he served until his 2008 retirement. As a preliminary to full service of the Franciscans into the Venice Diocese, Bishop Nevins required that 2 Franciscan TORs serve as parochial vicars in the diocese for 2 years before giving the Franciscans a parish. One of those TORs was Father James V. Gelati, who came into the parish in December 1994 and served until his transfer to Texas in 1996. Father Louis McIntyre, TOR, was subsequently assigned as parochial vicar to the parish in July 1996 and has faithfully served in that capacity until the present. Father Damien V. Amanti, TOR, joined the parish in 1997 as parochial vicar and remained until Father Conley established a mission station east of Route 75 in 1999, which eventually became our sister parish, Our Lady of the Angels, with Father Damien appointed as pastor. Father Thomas Stablee, TOR, replaced Father Damien in 1999 and served as parochial vicar until July 2004, when he was transferred to a parish in Arlington, Texas. Father John Mark Claus, TOR, replaced Father Stablee in 2004 as parochial vicar of Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Parish and continues to serve in that capacity. He has been appointed by Bishop Duane as the Diocesan Director of Worship for the Diocese of Venice.
The first organist.
No, I wasn't.
All right, you weren't the first organist, but you've been organist here at Parish.
There was some other gal, I never did get to meet her, that was doing it, and she had to quit. And Father Duncan and Mary Becker and I were talking, we were helping get the youth group started, and he said something about needing an organist. And Mary spoke up right away and said, Jean is, because I was helping out down at St. Martha's before that.
Right.
So I was appointed in September of '60
So that's,
as organist.
all right, so
We went to trailer estates with card table, a good kitchen stool, and a court organ. That's how we started. We had a little, some junior and senior high school girls as choir that sang at the masses there.
In desperation, they asked me to head up a choir. Mary Becker again. Mary, wherever you are. And I know where you are. But we started our little choir, and then the bishop came down and ordained that we build, and this was very early in the 60s, the Butler building, which is the building right across the way, and referred to it as the Chart of Florida. It was supposed to be a cathedral in France, so we called it our cathedral, but you had a real organ then. You had a real organ. 1960, we moved from Whitfield, and as I said, with a child and with a large family.
Right. Now I remember one other instance which be parts of a beginning here, and that was when our school opened in 1964. Many of the students had been going down to St. Martha's, and you were given the responsibility by the principal of St. Martha's to carry a bookload of confidential school records, which kind of upset Father Moran because you hadn't been ordained a school technician or whatever.
Well, you know, interestingly, there was a huge advance in education, Catholic education at the time. And going back to Father Daly that you mentioned, he started Incarnation, and then Father Duncan came over here. But at the same time that we built this little school, it was starting with 4 grades and nuns, believe it or not. The order, I struggled all morning to think of the name of the order. They became good friends, and they were sent out into the real world, they told them after a while. But we started Cardinal Mooney in the old Bell Plaza in downtown Sarasota, or near downtown. Mm-hmm. So it was a giant, giant job for anyone who was pastor. They had to be educators, starting parishes and doing all of this. And the remarkable thing is we had such wonderful people in Whitfield who just, joined, and I feel forever a member of this particular parish.
Lambert, you're probably the next oldest here in terms of, you started with the parish, did you not?
That's right, and as Pat referred to, we started after the Holiday Inn. We were over to Trailer Estates, and then we formed the first Holy Name Society. Bill O'Neill was the first president, and then they were followed by Ed Eggers. That's when we started having the so-called bazaars, or
these winter carnival.
Winter carnivals. Very memorable when the tent fell down one time because Father Moran gave his blessing. He said that next time we have an affair.
Actually, it ballooned with water because we had such a rain.
It rained like crazy,
yeah.
And he was going to give a blessing so we'd have good weather. So he said, no more blessings.
Could we add one little thing? Mary Becker again
right.
Brought all the carny people from the circus, and she put them to sleep on the altar during the hurricane.
Well, I became involved with the parish in 1973, so it'll be just about 36 years. We moved up from Sarasota, my husband and I, and our 3 children. Well, 2 and 1 on the way. And I wanted to become involved, so I started attending the Ladies Guild, and Family Affairs was a good spot to start. It was very welcoming parish, and they had spaghetti dinners, and it was just such a warm feeling to go to these spaghetti dinners and feel the warmth of the parish. And Father Lynn and Father Sears were present, and they were all so welcoming. My husband became Holy Name member and president, and we just enjoyed being here these 36 years.
Built a house in Whitfield, I think it was in '60. So we had to find the Catholic church. So somebody said it's on Pennsylvania Avenue. So we're driving down, we see these homes, and I see a warehouse. I said, why would they build a warehouse in a residential area? So we kept going, we couldn't find the church. So we came back, and there it said a little sign, Queen of Martyrs. Well, that was okay, but the parish house was something else. I mean, you have to enter that, take your life in your own hands. Your foot would go through the floor.
Yeah. But we came on account of the school, and next thing we knew, the bishop said, you were close in the school, and my husband wrote him a personal letter, and he found out how, so he would get it personally, how to address it to him. He got it, and he answered him, and he says, you are close in the school. There was no answers or buts. And I was, after being here a while, I was president of, which was then the Guild, about 20 years ago, I think it was.
Here in '59, so when we first moved here, we had to go to St. Joseph's. But about a month later, we opened at Trader Estates. I remember. No, I'm sorry, not Trader Estates. Holiday Inn. Yeah. Went to Holiday Inn and then to Trader Estates. I remember Lambert was an usher, and Jim Haggerty, and we're still doing it. And I remember, and I believe his name was Father Hanen, and he wasn't here very long. Yeah. Father Hanen.
Right.
At that time, I just had the one little boy, and I had sent him to a Protestant vacation Bible school, and I remember telling him, I said, you don't have anything here for the kids. And I said, they need to have something for the kids, and he said, well, do it. So I got two ladies, and we started the original CCD behind the old church. And then from then, I don't know, it took off from there, and we dropped out. But we had to write all of our own worksheets and everything. But yeah, we've been here, you know, been through the ups and downs, and Bill was president of the Holy Name, and he was with these Mardi Gras and bazaars like Lambert and Pat were talking about. And it's been a fun experience.
Great.
It was quite an experience to have the nuns when we did CCD, remember?
I remember that one. I had two little boys. And when we got down here, we went over to the rectory, and Julie Newer was the secretary there. And Father McHugh was then our pastor. And I remember Julie, the rectory was very dilapidated, and Julie would be sitting at the desk, and she was on one of these rollaway secretarial chairs, and if she picked her feet up, the chair would just kind of roll down because it was on such an angle, you know. And I registered Bobby, and then Carol Giroux, Catherine Sharkey, and myself got enlisted in teaching PE classes at the school. And it only lasted a year, because then in '69 the school was closed down.
I was originally from the Philippines, and we came here in 1978. Why we chose Bradenton, it was because of Dennis and Babs. They were already staying here, and they were active in the parish. We wanted to join another parish, but it said, no, this is your parish. So my husband and I joined. My children were left in the Philippines, but they came later. And the church was Flynn Hall. And I started, we had a choir, a small choir with Dalton. She was the choir director at that time. And I became active in the choir, and I'm still singing in the choir up till now. And I went to 5 choir directors, so, you know.
Yeah, we came from Western New York in 1972. We had visited this church about 1969. We noticed there was a school. So when we moved down here, first thing we did was come to the school to register our 4 children. We met Father Sears outside. And he said, oh no, the school has been closed. So we were disappointed. But we stayed here. We loved the church. My husband was active in bingo for many, many years. He's finally retired from that. And about the last 15 years, I was active in the Queen of Martyrs Guild, which is now called CCW, or Council of Catholic Women. So, but we enjoy it here. So
we came down, and my first experience going to Mass here was Father Flynn was starting to have throat problems, and I was sitting there, and he looked out at me, and he goes like this. And he couldn't speak to read, so I had to go up and read for him. And I thought, wow, I really feel like a parishioner. And so anyway, I've been here all this time, and my kids followed one after another until they all got down here.
Yes, yeah.
When Margaret was the president of the Guild, she said to me one night, we're having this meeting, is there anything we can do for entertainment?